introductions. So we have it documented and share our contact within the chat. And then if it's just the three of us here, then I will make it a point or ask that you two connect with each other, on a one-on-one to get to know each other. After we're done our quick intros, then we're going to get into the topic. And the topic I wanted to discuss is the topic of marijuana. It's something where it's, well, I say marijuana because that is what impacts us. Call it as quote unquote black families, but it's that and smoking in general. Like, having the conversation with our youth. What does it mean? How are youth approaching it nowadays? Like, for for the members within the community who do have children, I think or who interact with youth, I think it is something where it's good for us to be able to have this type of conversation, share best practices if we have any best practices. And again, like, this is the whole point of us coming together as a community, is for us to support each other through these type of conversations, share different perspective. Maybe some people might view it one way, some people might view it another way. But again, it takes a village to raise a family. So this is what we're doing. We're coming together and creating this opportunity for dialogue. And next month maybe we'll continue on this topic, or maybe we'll come up with another one. And that's the goal, So we'll share. And then once we're done, I'll give you guys, if there's a couple of quick updates. Nothing too strange going on these days. But I'll update you guys on the quick developments, and then we will close. Usually on a night like this, if it's a social topic that needs a professional intervention, then we would have a keynote speaker, like how we normally would on a business night. But in these particular cases, like when we talk about something social, we would bring in a keynote speaker that is more focused on the actual topic. So if maybe one day we'll address mental health, maybe one day, it could be physical health, whatever be the case, but we'll always make sure to bring in a professional to address this. I wanted, I knew we're still very much in kind of a beginning stages, so I just wanted to keep it more conversational for this time around, and to not put too much pressure. So yeah, so for this evening, it's just gonna be us, and it's gonna be us just breaking bread and sharing with each other. All right, beautiful people. So, Brother Walker, as the affiliate with us, if you don't mind just taking a quick moment just to introduce yourself to our brother Sadiq, and then Brother Sadiq, I'll have you introduce yourself as well, and we'll go from there.
Perfect, Steve. Well, it's somewhat casual and be very clear. I am practicing kinesiotherapy. Now, kinesiotherapy is a combination of kinesiology and physiotherapy in its rawest form. But in Quebec, it's more of an amalgamation of many of the manual therapies that you might find, excluding things like acupuncture and chiropractic and stuff like that, though we do study the same things. So what kinesiotherapy, what I offer essentially is a way for people to regain their posture, reduce pain. But my niche specific to my school of, not my school of thought, but what I'm positioned to do is help people to break limiting beliefs, or as it's described in the Discord, um, break habits. There's breaking habits that we generally have that keep us in a state of repressed, like physical repression. So if you know anybody who seems to always want to achieve, for instance, but as they express it, they're also expressing all the downfalls that they're coming across, whether it be physical or whether it just be the things that they're saying. Through kinesiotherapy, through movement, through realigning the body, making new connections, cognitive connections in the body, we can also help those people make connections in the mind to like readjust how they think about things and move from there. So that's what I have to say. That's what I have to offer with regards to my services, Temper Studios. I will put the information in the chat as we go through our session.
Amazing, thank you, my brother. Chris, who sells hats. Brother Sadiq, the floor is yours.
So, hi everybody.
Hey, peace.
Happy to see you today.
Nice to see you too, Ken.
So thank you for giving me this opportunity to practice my elevator speech because yeah, it's not perfect yet. So hello, brother Gary, and I'm Sidik Sidibé, Boubacar Sidik Sidibé. And my main occupation is being academic coordinator for the Quebec Board of Black Educators. And beside that, I'm the steward of Greenpeace Côte d'Ivoire, which is an organization doing inclusive development using the tools to improve the life of the population. And on the personal side, as I said, I'm starting my journey as as a consultant in education and technologies, helping individuals and families navigate the new realities that we are living today and connect the intergenerational gap that is widening due to the different understanding and use of technologies. So my main purpose is to build an institutional educational institutions that are connected to the realities of the 21st centuries and to realities of Black peoples in general, but for everybody. Mainly in Africa because I came from Ivory Coast, but through the world. So that's basically it.
Nice. And your elevator pitch is getting more concise. That's good. Very cool, very good. I'm glad that we're able to create this space. And for myself, as you guys know, I'm the founder and director of the One Full Circle OFC community. But for myself, I am a spiritual coach. So my passion, my desire is to connect with brothers and sisters, fellow human beings on this planet who are just here having an experience and coming to understand that they are more than just their physical and who are just, would like to have a conversation, who may have questions. Those who have questions, my intention is always to help and provide whatever answers that I can. So that is my passion. That's what I do, and I make myself available for OFC members. But if there's a person who's outside the community who would like to connect with me, I do make myself available as well, but I do prioritize connecting with members of the OFC. All right, so that is me in a nutshell. And before we dive into our roundtable, I'll just let you guys know the quick updates going on within the community. So very soon, you guys are going to be getting a survey, where this one is because we are doing a market study. I think, yes, was considered a market study for the OFC Money program that we're looking to put out. And I think I shared it with you guys briefly before, where the OFC were working on putting out our own local currency, where every $1 Canadian transferred over to OFC Money is going to give you a 10% bonus. We're doing this in order to incentivize, so to encourage and to stimulate our own local economy, so to speak, within our community. So if we could now show you that your dollar within the OFC is worth more, and then point you to businesses within the community where you could spend those dollars, we're hoping that that helps to encourage people to spend money with you guys in terms of members and businesses within the community. So we're putting out a short questionnaire. It's less than 5 minutes to complete it, and it is just to get your input on what we're doing and to get an idea of your habits as consumers. So that is something we're putting out. I do have the beta version now that I could share with you guys for feedback. A matter of fact, actually, I will. And seeing I have two of you guys here, I would appreciate your feedback. So I'll share it with you now. And then you guys could complete it and let me know your thoughts on it. Sorry, 1 second, guys. And pull it up, pull it up, pull it up. Here. And right now, I say the beta, this is the one that's actually going out, except that right now, the way it's structured, and you guys see it in the chat. Let me see if it's fixed. Yeah, I don't think so. But it was supposed to be one English version and one French version. Right now it's bilingual. Oh, let's see. Did they get it fixed? Okay, maybe they got it fixed. Yeah, I think they got it fixed. So, okay, so this is the official version. So so I shared it within the chat here. So if you guys could take a moment to complete that. And the other thing that we're working on right now, and you guys could give me your feedback on it, is we're becoming more what's the word I'm looking for? For lack of a better term, we're going to say structured in our approach to how we're working with our networking and getting the members together. So when people were realizing that there's two main characteristics that join the OFC. Some people join the OFC because they want to connect with other people, they want to get visibility and promote their business. And then there's some people who are more builders and they aren't necessarily interested in making the regular connections, but they are interested in coming together and making like if there's a collective investment opportunity or if they could spend money within the community, they're here for those type of things. So you guys are going to see over the next couple of weeks, we're going to be categorizing the members so that we could put them in two separate buckets. So those who are builders are builders, but those who are here to connect and to connect with each other, we're going to be pulling those people together. And then those who are here to make connections, we're going to be quantifying the connections. So Brother Walker, as an affiliate, within the course of the year, you will have 52 OFC assisted introductions so that you could quantify the amount of connections. And then with that, you're able to gauge that, okay, out of 52 connections, how many people did I actually connect with? We're going to want feedback from you as well. So from these 52 connections, like, how did it go? What happened? And that's what we're providing as the OFC. You are unlimited in terms of how much connections you can make on your own. But for us, what we want to be held to is making sure that you get at least 52 connections throughout the year. And again, using the same philosophy that we always use within the OFC, is that we're not guaranteeing you 52 sales, but we're guaranteeing you're going to meet 52 people. Right. And that's what we're doing. Brother Sadiq, as an affiliate within the community, you're coming in, and as affiliates, as an individual, not an affiliate, as an individual in the community, the purpose is for individuals a little bit different. So we're here to make sure that you connect at least 12 people throughout the year. So it's at least one connection a month, at the least. Yes, Brother Walker.
It's not necessarily fixed. You got like
Fixed.
no, because you have so the questions are in English, the first one's in English, the question is English, but the answers are in French. Not that it's really a bother, but I'm just saying it's
Thank you. No, that's what I needed. Yeah, just the feedback. So okay, thank you for that input. Okay, so I'm gonna note check survey. Okay, so anyway, so that was it. So I'm just giving good. Those are the two latest things that I was sharing with the community. So it's that getting the needs assessment. Our goal is to get 150 responses to the needs assessment over the next 2 weeks. So we're going to be pushing really hard to get that done. And the other thing too is to just being able to categorize the members who's more builders and who are connectors. Some people here are here to connect, and some people are here to build. It's a win-win on both sides. So this is what makes a community, but we're going to be quantifying them. And again, everything we're doing is so that we can streamline what is the OFC so that it can become more duplicatable. So like for your case, Brother Walker, like when you're inviting people to the OFC and they want to know what does it mean to join this community, if they're in business, you could say, well, you're an entrepreneur, you're coming, you will join this community, you'll make 24 connections, or that's what I didn't mention, like a person who's not an affiliate, but they are just a regular business owner, we would be making sure that they connect with at least 24 people throughout the year. Right. And then there's the other additional benefits like being able to participate in our OFC weeklies, getting the promotion on the podcast, radio, within the newsletter as well. And then they get their directory listing and stuff like that. Right. So it's like the idea is just to try to make it a little more streamlined for people so that they can understand, like, I'm joining a community because I'm here to get, visibility, support, participating in this network. What does that mean? That means at least 24 contacts. If you want to break it down, it means that. So again, everything we do here is trying to build a more evolved community that could stand on its own structure. So all right. So that's it for updates. If you guys have no question about that, let's dive into our topic for today. So this topic in terms of smoking with youth, I thought it was a good one to just put out to the community. And it's a shame there's not more people here, but I realized also what happened last week, which I should have made a point to do this week, is like 10 minutes before our session, I sent out an email. And it seemed like a lot of people clicked on right as I sent it out. This time I gave a little more heads up and I asked Stephen to send it out, closer to like 5, 6, I think. So it wasn't so last minute, but it seems like a last minute reminder. It helps because then people pop in on the last minute. But I didn't do it this time. Maybe next time. But anyway, so the topic, it's like the idea of smoking cigarettes or marijuana. Um Now both of those things I like have two different impacts, but in essence, I think they're both addictive in a way or another. And I think as parents, I think it's we kind of have a responsibility, whether we as parents or mentors, uncles, godparents. I think we have a responsibility to have the conversation with our teens, tweens, even younger these days. But I think it's a value for us as a community to discuss it, amongst ourselves. Mm, and the purpose is to have a bit of a strategy, for those who may need it, those who may want it, a way to be able to approach this as a community. So, what do you guys think about the topic? In terms of smoking cigarettes vis-a-vis smoking weed, is it the same type of thing? As parents, should we be approaching them both the same? Should we look at weed smoke or cigarette smoke as, something different? What say you guys?
All right, I'll just start right away and say, no, they're completely different things. And if you would have asked me a year ago, I would have probably had a more complex response in that, like, yeah, we have to look at it because most people are 50-50 blunt weed smokers or whatever. More like, okay, you know what? I'll just, if I can break it down,
Yeah, please.
smoking weed, especially as a teenager and even as an adult, marijuana smoke, it's very congested. You're coughing all the time. No one really likes that. Generally.
Okay.
So you see a
Right.
lot of Rastafarians, they smoke tiny little pinners because it's easier to intake and stuff like this. That's one. To combat that, you have the tar in nicotine that you put in there, and it softens the blow, and it also increases the high when you're smoking at like putting some tobacco in there. The addictive component in that is the nicotine added to the weed. So that's where we get that addictive aspect. Weed is not necessarily addictive by itself. We know this and it's manageable. So all that on the table. Oh wait, and then also there are tools, and I'm going to say this because of experience. There are tools that you could purchase that are specifically for marijuana smoke, heating it up, and it won't work with tobacco. And they kind
Mm.
of soothe. They have the same effect as tobacco, as nicotine, tobacco, in that it's not going to make you cough and crit and choke all crazy because you can manage the temperature and stuff like this. Now that that's on the table, the reason I won't
Oh
view
wait, sorry, just for clarification, is that like the vaping and stuff that we're
it.
talking about?
Well, vaping is different. Vaping is like cigarette vapes or nicotine vapes are very different from a marijuana vaporizer. So a vape, you can purchase them. I don't know how it is now, but you could purchase them ready-made, ready flavored, and all that stuff. You
Right.
can purchase them where you just put your own flavor and all that stuff. You add and change how much nicotine you want in. I'm not looking too much at the vape aspect of nicotine because we want to talk about smoking cigarettes and marijuana. So I'm
Right.
kind of like leaving the vape off, but the products that marijuana uses are vaporizers. Now what
Okay.
they do is they like, and I'm gonna say it, but like essentially what they do is heat up the marijuana to a high temperature so that you're getting all the stuff without the there's a word for it, carcinogens.
Okay.
I'll find the word and I'll send it. Carnin,
The carcinogenous, I think.
carnin, say that again.
Carcinogenous,
I think that's it.
That sounds
Carcinogen.
like it.
the thing that give
Yeah.
cancer.
So yeah, so you get the high without all the other effects that you would get from burning the leaf itself. I'm saying this, what are carcinogens? That's it, carcinogens. So I'm saying this because this year I was awarded, I will say awarded a prescription for marijuana.
Okay.
You might know you know my past enough to know that I was dealing with a lot of traumatic issues at one
Yeah.
point.
Yeah.
And the main thing that the people, the medical staffs, the clinicians wanted to do was get me on pills right away. And the way they would talk about these pills are like, well, we're gonna sample this much to deal with your whatever. It's gonna affect you this much. It's gonna affect your weight. It's gonna affect your mood. But we're gonna take 3 months to decide if this is the right dosage, and then we'll experiment with dosage. So I was looking at about 9 months of experimentation before we could even have a solution to what I was dealing with. So I was completely against it,
Right.
focused on self renewals and all that stuff through the therapy. I made it very clear I'm not doing pills because pills didn't make me the way I am or whatever.
You're right.
But eventually it came out that the marijuana that I was using at the time was the most beneficial thing to me.
Hmm.
So a year after that, beginning of this year, I was awarded a prescription for marijuana. So I
Okay.
can't, so with that, I can't, and I got the vaporizer and everything. Now that's my prescription, but I can't now look at cigarette smoke the same way I look at marijuana
Right.
smoking
Mm-hmm.
because of the journey that I've gone through with it. And I was a two-teen myself. I used to smoke every day. I used to smoke and mix it up. I used to have friends who smoked blunts and stuff like
Mm-hmm.
that. They were crazy with it. So I know all like the teen aspect of it, but we can't really put them in the same box.
Right. Yeah.
What
Agreed. Wow, that thank you so much for sharing that perspective. Like it's, and again, this is why we're here, right? Because it is like as a parent, like, and I have teens, right? So like, so I have a son who's well, actually older than teens now. One son's 21, the other one's 18, and then I have a daughter who's 15. So it's like they're in this era in this phase where it's like, okay, well, we have to have the marijuana conversation with them, right? And the smoking weed back in my day, so to speak, so crazy to say that now, but when we were younger, like, so I grew up in St. Anne Bellevue, like I went to McDonald High, predominantly white school. So what we were doing with these kids out there was just way different, and so my influence and even my upbringing was just way different than my children's are right now. So I got into smoking weed so much younger. And I like, and I was into stuff way younger than like my children are now. Like my children are, we're having the conversation now, but they're older. Um, but for myself, I never had a conversation. I didn't have this adult conversation with no parents in my household. And it was more my peers that, they were smoking weed. I started smoking weed too, and that's just what it was. But for me, what I found for myself is that it did kick off my ambition a notch. Like I used to be a certain kind of way, and then I did become like a stoner. So it's like it became a persona, like where it's like I was smoking weed all the time. It made me like, that I became a part of that crew in school. I even remember my friends switched a little bit, like, like I used to hang with a certain kind of crowd, then I was hanging more with a smoker crowd. And I didn't want that for my children, right? Like I knew what it was then, and but we're in a different world now, right? Where it's like they're making it more common, they're making it more socially accepted, they make it more accessible. As parents, like we don't have a choice but to ensure our children are aware of things. So, we're presenting it like because of the internet, because of everything, they're aware of things. They know about weed. They know about all the everything that's happening. So you can't hide it from them. You can't, So it was like with my 18-year-old and my 15-year-old, like we just had the conversation, because it was like, okay, well, it's like they're of age. We're understanding that, they might be dabbling and smoking themselves. So before like they go off and they're smoking with strangers, they're smoking with their friends, they don't know what their friends are putting in their joints. We said, you know what, let's have an open and transparent conversation with them, just so they know, one, safety, for safety purposes, they know they could always come to us, if they have questions, if they want to, if they, I would prefer that they come and have the conversation and even come to me, if they are looking for weed, they want weed, opposed to just trying to find it or going to, like,
Yeah.
I would want them to be more comfortable with the conversation, opposed to feeling like they have to kind of hide to go do it or do it behind our back. I prefer that we have that kind of open dialogue, but again, it's like, it's such a weird thing to be in this stage now in life where it's like, okay, we have to have these kind of conversations with our kids, like, it's like that, and the sex conversation, that's a whole other conversation, and maybe that'll be a topic for another, social evening, like when do we start talking to our children about having sex, and like,
Hmm.
can we as parents start to not navigate, but control the narrative of that conversation so that the schools aren't forcing a certain narrative, that we all know that the industry has their own agenda, But anyways, that's a whole other topic that actually I think that maybe a good conversation for another social circle, so to speak. But anyway,
Definitely.
so yeah, but yeah, so no, so that's my, my 2 cents on the topic. It is something where it's like it's about trying to understand perspective, I guess, and being able to give the youths that a different type of perspective that they can like, I guess, grow with or do something with that.
Well, I mean, a lot of the proof is in the pudding, and a lot of what you said is what you bring to the table. But things that stood out is most of your children are adults now.
Mm-hmm.
So if unless you're like just starting to see things that you would have seen in your quote unquote smokers crew, then you're like, there's a concern. I wouldn't be overly concerned. I'm not talking just for you, but I'm just saying because they're adults, because they're like 18 and up,
Mm.
if they're not really into it, by the time it becomes something that they could get into at that age, it's probably just like a one-off, a two-off, because they're equipped already. Like if you're
Right.
talking about a 13 to a 16-year-old, like that range,
Yeah.
that's when you want to get that intervention. Okay. Where are you getting it? So some of the stuff is like I remember before I had my child, I was like smoking, and I knew that like, oh man, if I'm never gonna quit this, if I have a kid, I want him to smoke with me. I don't want him to go out there and blah blah blah, all that stuff.
Right.
So where are you getting it became a concern. Get it from me because I know the guy, but then again, the government has made it they're
Accessible.
yeah, so you can now kind of give them a little bit of wiggle room in their choices
Mm.
while also supporting them. Like, look, this is my experience with this.
Mm-hmm.
I know that the guy was my friend because he was making money off my back. If
Mm-hmm.
you're looking to dabble, dabble, but make sure
Mm-hmm.
you get it here.
Mm.
Or if like, like you really wanna, I'm here as well. There's like you break down that discomfort of like I have to have this awkward conversation, or
Right.
like my parents are still trying to control me. All
Right. Yeah.
And so just that, where are you getting it from is a big one. You put the option before yourself because you want yourself to be like the last, and like you can always rely on me no matter what as a parent,
Yeah.
right?
Right.
But like, it's there, don't go there because you don't know these fancy things that they're doing. And then you can always put anecdotes about how they use Windex and stuff like that, or they use cocaine and stuff to like keep people addicted because they saw that people weren't using nicotine. And just by doing that, they're going to stay away from the nicotine. All kinds
Good.
of things.
Good point. Brother Sadiq, what was it like in your experience? Like, I know you deal with like some teens and younger kids. Like, are these things that come up, or do parents bring these things up for on your side?
Um, not really. Those are not the type of subject that the parents bring easy to us, especially that I'm kind of new in the domain. I didn't have to had an intervention with students on this topic. Um, yeah, I didn't have that.
Okay.
Genre, this conversation is really educational for me, because, well, full disclosure, it's a safe space. So me too, I'm a smoker. I smoke cigarettes. I try to quit it, and I smoke weed. So yeah, I'm just going to, because I think I'm way younger than you guys. I'll be 27 next month. So I will just share my journey, my perspective on how I started with it. And to be really honest, you share a view which is a little different to what I experienced. Because I came from, as I say, I grew up in Cote d'Ivoire, from a pretty traditional family. And I came in Canada when I was 18. So actually, I didn't smoke ever tobacco or marijuana when I was in Cote d'Ivoire living with my parents, because I know that in their house, that wasn't something that wasn't tolerated at all. Even now, for cigarettes, my parents kind of know, and they always tell me to stop and stuff like that. But for weed, that's no, because for them, every drugs are the same drugs. So
Right.
no drugs.
Yeah, drugs are drugs.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So on my personal side, well, it was when I was in Ghana actually that I had to do a presentation on drugs. I researched it. I learned a lot from it, and I kind of made a list of drugs that I got to test.
That's
So
so good.
initially, tobacco wasn't on this list,
Right.
but I learned that it was considered as a sacred plant and that it has a lot of virtues. So, the base, I wanted to grow my own tobacco and smoke. That was initially. Then things went out of control when I started living here by myself, and it became a kind of outlet. Weed, I just was eating space cake 1 or 2 times, and then when I started here, it just became same kind of outlet. It was way easier to deal with live smoking, and I just kept the habit until now. Every month, almost every week, I tell myself I got to stop, but I'm still debating myself, do I really want to stop? So that's kind of my perspective, and how to. I think I'm not yet at the stage of how to introduce this conversation to my children and the youngers around me. If I have it with the young people with which I work, I just stop at giving the consequences. So, well, I don't tell them that I smoke because I don't want to be a bad influence, but that's what it does to you. That's what it does, blah, 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 blah. And at the end, it's still money and time that you can use to do other things. I just stop there for my But on the other side, and that's one of my internal contradiction that I still have until today. To Stephen's point, we can't deny that the tar, the carcinogens, and all that are bad for the health. But I wonder, is it like the way of inhaling it that is bad, but the substance in itself? Here I'm talking about marijuana, because cigarettes we know is bad. It doesn't have any properties. But does it have? Well, I feel like it has some benefits. And I know that it has some benefits, especially on the mental health side. And stuff like that, even if there is consequences. So yeah, I'm taking a position where I'm learning from you guys, from your experience. I'm not sure. Well, I know that eventually I don't want to be addicted to anything. And that is my main personal issues with that, is that I recognize that I'm addicted to tobacco, nicotine, and marijuana, because I mix the two. I can't smoke weed without tobacco, and I can't smoke too much tobacco without smoking weed. So,
Wow. Thank you for sharing that. Thank you. And that's you know, and you just brought up another good point in terms of like as parents, as mentors, as role models, like we don't want to be a negative influence. So we don't necessarily want to portray that we smoke, but at the same time, we also don't want to be pretend like we don't, or you want to be fake
Yeah.
either. And that's the conversation I had with my children. Like I made it very clear that, you know, like yeah, like I smoke. But my children know that I smoke as well, but they also recognize that I intentionally don't smoke around them. Like I won't like, you know,
Exactly.
like I won't smoke in the car with the kids. I won't say let's go for a walk and I'm smoking with them. Like, you know, like I have enough self-control where it's like, you know, like I could, you know, there's enough time I can smoke without them in the present. And also, although they know I smoke, it's not like I'm hiding to smoke, but they know I'm intentionally not smoking in front of them because I'm not trying to be that influence. And even for my youngest, like we haven't entertained the conversation with my 8-year-old yet, just because I think it's just too soon to bring that up with her. So you know, with the 15-year-old, yes, because she's right there, you know, like the age Stephen has said, like from that 13 to 16, she's dead in the middle of that. So her, we wanted to make sure to have the conversation, but at the same time, it's like we're in a time, it's like it's just this is new. Like I have to say, I keep saying it, I'm like, you know, I I didn't know what it would be like to be a parent in this era, in this age, in this world right now. Like all this stuff, having these type of conversations with my children and stuff like that. Like I don't know, I didn't know what to expect, you know, and now we're here and it's like it's great to be able to, you know, to have people to dialogue with on the topic. But it's like, you know, it's like who has the manual for these things? Because even our parents didn't have to deal, like we can't ask our parents for information because they don't know what we're living. Like they didn't have to go through shit like we're going through. They didn't have the like their children knowing so much stuff because of access to the internet. Right. So they could tell us one thing and we would just listen to them because we're like, all right, cool, you must know. Like, you know, like unless we're gonna go search encyclopedia, which we didn't, that was it. Like now you can't tell these children shit. Like they're gonna search for themselves, they're gonna look up stuff, they're gonna check, they're gonna Google, they're going to chat GPT, they're going to get into chat rooms, they're going to like they will like whatever it is. You know, so it's like we're up against a whole new world. Um, have you guys ever heard of the book Outwitting the Devil? Okay, so Outwitting the Devil, if ever we do a book club again, that might be one that I would recommend. Outwitting the Devil is like a Napoleon Hill book, right?
Mhm.
Like, and I used that book when I did the Black Mitzvahs. I think like I have another Black Mitzvah coming up, and it's a book that I had the youth take in, right? And the whole concept, and just to come full circle here, tell you guys what my point is, but the whole concept is that they're like it's as if they're interviewing the devil and asking the devil to reveal all his secrets, like how he's doing this, how he's manipulating the planet, how he's running things. And one of the questions that they ask is about, you know, like either I can't remember if they say marijuana or if they say drug consumption. But he makes a good point, and he's like, you don't forbid your children from doing them, like from doing drugs, but educate them so that they understand what the drugs are and what they do. And I resonate with that because I know coming up, I had some friends that because their parents are so strict, as soon as they were out of the parents' sight, they were wild youths, like wild. It's like
Yeah.
so it's like as soon as if you try to hold on too tight and you try to forbid certain things, forget it. You can't, like they're going, if especially if they have a desire. So it's better to educate them, let them know you're there. Like, you know, but I think there comes a certain point as a parent where we have to kind of let go and just hope they're going to land on their feet.
Yeah, but there's like a lot of stuff there. You said desire. The main thing for me that I was looking at was one thing, but I'm gonna work around that to get to it. If you have a child who likes to play the piano, you nurture that, you nurture that, you nurture that, you nurture that, and through that desire for playing the piano, you can introduce the use of marijuana's effect on that ability because it's gonna have an effect. If you're like saying, oh, well, you probably shouldn't smoke before your recital, or you probably shouldn't smoke just to da 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 stuff like that. Okay, so with regards to training, for instance,
Mm.
the reason and not reason anything, with regards to training, it's gonna affect your testosterone levels. It's gonna affect creatine levels, the natural muscle builders. So, for instance, like, because I could talk to this, if you have a child who's interested in training, ride that, train with them, go with them. And then the conversation about marijuana, it kind of is reactionary, but it's more of a, if you notice anything, you could be like, you know that this is going to affect all the work you're putting into the gym. And then once you're having that conversation, now it's not forbidding. It's not like don't the finger wagging. It's like I really see the work you're doing, and now this is just gonna squash all that. So providing alternatives, what do you want to do now is just to keep your smoking. You're going to take these pills, this pill, this pill, this pill, and you're still just a child. Like these are the type of things that old men should be doing to stay at your level, and you're already putting yourself in that situation. What's going to happen? And kids are more intuitive and smarter than we give them. I say kids, but teenagers are a lot more intuitive than we give them credit for.
True.
I wanted to actually ask, when you don't smoke around them, are you able to say, hey, I need a break, I'm gonna go smoke and go somewhere else, or do you just try to keep it on the hush and then go? And the reason I'm saying this is because they're gonna know, because your mood's gonna change. So what you're teaching them something other than like not smoke, other than what you're trying not to show them what you're doing, but you're also showing them something else at the
Something else,
same
right?
time.
Yeah, that's a very good point. Like, because how it is now, like I don't announce it. Like I'm not like, all right, I'm gonna go, but like I'll I'll say I'm heading out. I'm just gonna take a walk, or but mind you, there's times where I just go for a walk for just for walk's sake too, right? So it's like,
Yeah,
and my
yeah.
children know that. They know I just go for walks. Like I'll go with the dogs, without the dogs, with them, without them. So I go for walks. So, but when it's kind of late in the evening, if I'm going for a walk at like 10 p.m., then they kind of like they know, all right, yeah, well that, but mind you, I'm not interacting with them a lot, them hours either, right? It's my youngest is already in bed, and my teens are they're doing their own thing, if not getting ready for bed themselves. So it's so it's kind of like I'm still not doing it and coming back in the evening, and just like it's kind of like big people time, so to speak. It's like some yeah,
It's just to keep in the back of your mind, like how are you even presenting it for yourself?
yeah, good point.
Yeah.
And
So
as you're saying that too, I'm wondering if it's worth asking the children like why they're interested in smoking. Like what is their motivation? Like what what makes them want to try it, or what makes them want to do it?
like I like well you do it like okay, my father was super against it, but his brother is a true Rasta man. And I liked music. I used to make music. Like literally I made a couple, I would say albums, but like whatever. I used to make music. And then my father and my uncle had a little bit of a falling out or some at some point while I was on my own. And I reconnected with my uncle because he supported my music. He was making music too. So he obviously supported it. And then I would watch him make the music and then just bun a spliff, and then they'd make some music and then bun a spliff and then teach me how to do the programs and then bun a spliff and then do. So now I'm like, he's not sitting there saying like, oh, you shouldn't. Like from time to time, he's like, you don't understand what this is about. This is a dismantling and whatever.
Right.
But I'm watching him develop music while doing it and stuff like that. So it kind of not that it took away from what my own father was saying with regards to you shouldn't be doing drugs, you should be doing a lot more than certain ethnicities and all that stuff. But it like kind of demystified it for me in a sense. That
Mm,
right?
yeah.
So it wasn't long before I'm asking this guy, come on, let me have some. And when he's saying no, I'm obviously gonna go somewhere else now because I'm a kid, I'm not a grown up. Right.
Right.
So
Yeah.
when you like I probably wouldn't have been able to answer that question. Like, what's your interest? I wouldn't be like, oh yeah, because my friends, because even when I started smoking cigarettes, it didn't last very long, but when I started smoking cigarettes, it was my way of showing my friends that you don't have to be addicted. So I would
Mhm.
smoke, yeah, so I'd smoke a cigarette and be like, see, I'm not addicted. And then they would come back and be like, well, you only smoked one cigarette, and that was yesterday. Like we smoked this much, and I'd smoke again. I'm like, see, I'm not addicted. And before I knew it, I was addicted.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yep.
But it's different with the marijuana where it's like, no, I'm just chilling with the friends, they're all doing it and it ain't that bad. It's a good vibe, because there are like you said Sadiq, right?
Siddiq. Yep.
Like you said, there are some benefits to it. It's like the company you keep, when you're smoking, how you're doing it, that's gonna affect those benefits. There's like, because it's we know it's gonna have some spiritual aspect, like effects. We know that, but there's also the physiological effects it's gonna have. So wherever you are, wherever your state of mind is, I'm trying to keep my hand literally at the green line here. Wherever your state of mind is, that marijuana when you're smoking is gonna have an effect on you in some way, shape, or form based off that. So it's I'm not trying to discourage you from asking the why are you smoking, because it's not something that they're thinking of I was just with my friends, they were smoking, and I just had to smoke. Like it's not like they're thinking about it. Now it's gonna be a thing where they're like, well, what's wrong with it? And now this is what I don't like to do, is I don't like to be in a position doing something and then trying to explain to someone that this is the wrong.
Right, exactly.
So
But that's not what we're not. That's what we're trying to not do as parents. And again, because we're like, what is it, progressive? Trying to, trying to meet these children halfway.
I was saying that for Sadiq because you're saying you don't want to be a bad influence, but you know that what are you gonna do? Like spray on cologne and all kinds of stuff to try and cover. You can't really brush your teeth. It's
Like,
but
I'll do it when I get to meet them.
what I mean is we don't know what people are picking up. We don't know
Mm.
what people are seeing. We don't know when they're seeing all this stuff. So you could potentially discredit yourself by trying to demonstrate, look, these are all the problems with that. Boom, 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 boom. And then you're at a grocery store, you're like, oh, I'm done. And then there's that one kid who like really looked up to you, just like, is he, after you that whole speech, you know what I mean? So it's better to accept who you are in your full entirety and use that experience to express like, this is what I know, this is what it is, and this is how it's affected me. And I would not want that for you because here I am struggling with this. Right? Because I care about you, I'm gonna hide this, or because like it's better you're honest, I feel.
Right.
So
Yeah.
that like even if they see you're like, man, he's really trying, because we never see him at school, and here he is in his car at the grocery store. That must be tough, Then it's a high as opposed to a like, it's
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think that comes with that, like you just said, being honest, being transparent, but
yeah.
also you just said something too that made me think of time and place. Oh yeah, no, because you're saying like, like you don't want to have to go smoke and brush your teeth and stuff like that. But I think that's where time and place is a factor. Like I don't think like in the situation where Sadiq is, I don't think he's looking to still smoke while he's still at the center or whatever be the case. Like he's gonna go home, be in the comfort of his own place. But to your point, I understand that if you are portraying a certain image and then you're walking down the street, it's a Saturday afternoon, you're walking, chilling, you want to be walking and say you're smoking a joint just because you can. Um, you don't want to run into a youth that has a completely different perception of you, and because then that completely shatters their perspective as well. So, and I think for myself, I remember Duke Eatman one day. He tried to pull me up because I had shared a picture of my wife and I during Carnival in Toronto. And it was like we are just posting up on the fence, but it looked like we were dancing, but regardless, it was just wearing costume. And he's like, as a brother in the community, like you shouldn't be, or you should be mindful of how you portray yourself. And I'm like, no, I am actually. I'm showing pictures like this on purpose. Like I want people to understand that I'm just like you. I'm not like, just because I'm a community builder. I'm no different than anybody else. I am gonna put on a costume. I am gonna fet and bubble, and that's the same reason why I don't hide to smoke weed either. right? It's like but again, at the same time, I'm not going to smoke a joint and say I'm going to go talk, like to go do a presentation, right? It's like at the same time, you see me in a leisure event, like I'm chilling, I'm hanging out with everybody else. I'm gonna smoke a joint, and you're not gonna be like, is that Pharaoh smoking? People understand and they know that, there's a certain perception. But now coming back to our point though, because this is great conversation. But now when it comes to our youth and the example, because right now what we're saying is I'm a bit concerned because we know the power of just influence. We know the power of not even saying anything, just them seeing us and seeing us
That's it.
smoking comfortably, right? And functioning. We are basically saying it's okay to smoke weed,
Yeah.
right? But now, is that what we want to tell them?
But is it not okay to smoke weed? But
Probably not what you want to tell them, but it's not like you want to go and make it okay. If you can manage your life without any kind of anything, you're doing much better than someone.
Right.
Like, even with this prescription, I just got like a full closet full of this stuff because it's almost like they prescribed to me, and now I'm like, I don't want it now. Like, I don't need it now. Like, have the joy of smoking was like connecting with someone, like getting that deal and all that stuff, and now
Right.
it's just collecting there. I give it out to neighbors sometimes.
Right.
Be honest,
Yeah.
but like you want to be in a position where like you're getting them to say like the truer you are to yourself. Honestly, this is where I'm at because I'm still thinking about kinesiotherapy. I'm still thinking about the message, the motivational thing that we just had, and I had some notes on that. The truer you are to yourself, the better off you'll be. And these things cloud that, and it makes the fight to be yourself a little bit difficult. You don't have to if you don't need to. You don't have to make it a part of who you are, but it doesn't
That's
stop you from enjoying it when the festivities like allow. So what you're basically trying to say is like, look, just be responsible. Like, this is why I did it. If I could have done it differently, I probably would have. These were the situations I found myself in, and now here I am with this, and I'm pretty sure it's because of this, and this, like the addictive proponent, this part about it, da 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 da. And it does help me. You know that it has medicinal purposes, but I never took the time to go that route. So here we are, and I don't want you to start doing things because you see me doing it and thinking that that's okay. This is years of coming to this, and you're only seeing me as an adult, your parent, or whatever.
You're right, yeah. And so in essence, what we're teaching, or what should be the message, is balance. It's like in
Balance.
everything balance. That's all we're saying. We're not telling you do this, we're not telling you not to do it. And I think one thing that I wish that I knew that I would make it a point to express to these youth is, although marijuana is not addictive in the same way like nicotine is, it becomes very habitual in the sense that if like you connect with a particular brethren and you guys smoke, when you link with that brethren, something is like, yo, this is build up. Like, even it's like, there's just a connection. If you know
Yeah.
that, every time you go to a particular event or you do, it's like it becomes habitual. So now your system is connecting smoking weed and this particular activity or this particular thing. That I wish I understood before, because then, yeah, because then I realized I actually just recently had to break myself out of smoking every time I got in the car. Like every time I got in the car, I would have the tendency of being like, oh, I'm about to sit in traffic, I'm gonna smoke a joint. And then I was like, but why? I was like, I literally had to break myself out of it. We're like, no, I don't need to, I don't need to smoke. But it took some time, and I actually had to realize that that's what was happening. So that's something else that the youth need to understand, that it's like, yes, it doesn't have the same addictive components as nicotine, but there is still certain, like, your body is used to certain habits. So it'll do the same thing. It'll have a similar impact or similar effect, like being
That's clean.
And there is something that I want to add up on what you said earlier, especially concerning having this conversation with the youth, because to your point, they are pretty intuitive. I think they are way more intuitive at their age than all the previous generation were. And also, today they have access to a wealth of information, literally to all the information about any subject in the world. So you can tell them, basically, you can tell a lie today, because they are going to see other
Mhm.
informations, then
Yeah.
interpret it, and then have their own understanding. So one thing that I'm really, really thinking since a while now is how, especially in the familial unit, how do we educate our children? How do we share with them? And I think that's just a theory, and I would love to hear your point on that. But the most important thing is how they are going to process the information that they are going to get from outside. And for me, that came down to the values. Like I think every family should be clear on, okay, you are born in this family, those are our set of values, those are our that's how we live basically in our families. And I want you, and I'm conforming myself to that. So that's how we get together. And in addition to that, like clarify, okay, so on this conversation, why do you want to, why do you smoke or why do you want to smoke, as Brother Stephen said? And also, okay, so now that you are doing it, uh, now that you are clear on that, how does it fit with our familial realities or familial values? And also, another side is I also think, and I always tell that to the young people with which I works, we want you guys to be better than us. So I'm sharing to your point, what is my journey, why I get into it, what I learned from it, what are the mistakes I did, where I lose time, where I gain something from it. And at the end, that's my experience. I want
Mhm.
you to have a better life experience than me. You decide how you do it, but I want you to take those first-hand information that I had and do something better with it.
Mm.
And, but yeah, I really, really, really don't think that smoking weed, well, consuming, because smoking is not the only way of consuming,
Consuming. Right.
is bad. It's
Mhm.
just, as you say, the time, the space, the context on which is it, and what is the intent
Yeah.
behind it. Because yeah, I'm pretty sure that well, we live in a matrix, and it
Mhm.
lets you disconnect from it to reconnect to who you are, who you really are.
Right. Well said. And
No.
you just hit on a couple of big points there because that whole thing about setting up your family values, I think that in itself again is another great topic that we should bring up as a one of our social circles because I think as a community, I think it's our responsibility that every household, you guys should have your own set of values, right? Every household should have that set of values, and then those values should feed into the community values, right? And that's what makes a solid community because it's like you have a but I feel like that part we're missing it as families. It's like we're veering off from that. Like we're growing up in these in kind of ways where we're not setting up these foundational things. And it's like, let's say for example, you have honesty, transparency, communication as part of your family values. So then, um, like, so then within this household, we don't condone or like, like whatever the case is. But when it comes to smoking weed or whatever, because part of our values is to be honest, is to be forthcoming, transparent, and communicate, we talk about these things. We don't judge, we don't whatever, but it's like, I think if every household set up a certain structure that reassured their children that when it comes down to it, they could have these type of open conversations, these open dialogues, I think we'd be steps ahead. And I think it's something well worth discussing as a community. What are your household values? And then and I think it could create like could be a preventative measure for a lot of households these days because there's a lot of these youth who are going through things and they don't even know how to bring it up to their parents because it's something that like especially again our generation, there's things that our children are going through that we were never privy to, like there's certain influences that they have
Mhm.
that
No.
you know
Oh, Lord. I want to hit on that value. Okay, so first of all, we have to identify something, and I think we're like kind of bouncing around it. But
hmm
smoking weed and the way you're smoking weed is if you're putting cigarettes in the weed that you're smoking in the split or blunt that you're smoking, that is something to be concerned about. I'm gonna have to say point final on that. Like you have to, that's something you're gonna have to be concerned about because just it seems like nothing, but it's a lot. It's a lot. It's a lot, and that's gonna contribute to the habitual effects. It's gonna contribute to the desire to smoke. It's gonna contribute everywhere before we even get to the values. Values. Um, this day and age, and using my own experience, there's a lot of broken homes. So it's you when we talk about values, we literally mean the household. You have to be really about it. It should not just be I feel it should not just be a preventative measure, but it should be this is the value here. So like what you were saying with regards to like this is how it's going to affect the value family values and the community values. I'm all for that, but that trueness to yourself always comes first for me. If you're reacting to something that you don't like, you're not going to approach it with a trueness of self, if that makes sense.
Hold on, let's take that back. If you're reacting to something you don't like,
Mhm.
then
You're
you're not. Say it
you're
again.
not necessarily going to approach it with a trueness of self.
Okay.
It's like and like okay.
So it's like you won't be fully honest. Like you're already coming with a
Yeah,
bias almost. You
that's
have a
it. You're
bias.
coming with a bias. Like
Yeah.
it kind of touched me a little bit when Sadiq, you're saying it's like I smoke, but I don't want to leave a bad influence, so I tell them all the bad things about it. That really affected me because you like, man, I've been wanting to talk to you from the moment you said, video games are good, because that's one of the things I teach my kid how to read full sentences because of video games. So he's 4 years old and he can understand this is a standard battle in which allies can be easily whatever because he understands what's the importance of reading, all right? So it's not about the video game, it's about what you can pull from that, right?
Exactly.
Cool. So when you're like, man, like I'm gonna tell him this because these are the bad things, cigarettes now, but I'm not like, but you do it as well. You basically separate yourself from what you want for them, right? You have to be the vehicle, right? So you shouldn't separate yourself from the word. I don't want to go too much on that. I just want you guys to consider that there is a lot of broken homes. Myself being a part of one of them. The life experience. This is a big one because this is where my world is. The energy you put into certain things. That's what I was talking about before. Since I've got the prescription, I get this stuff free every month, like, and more than I should, way more than I should be getting every month. And it's like the energy I used to put in to just getting that thing to last me 2 days. Now it's just like they'll call me up and be like, it's just time for renewal. Like it's time for your, and she's like, just send it, just send it. Now there's a lot of energy that used to go into just getting it. So then you got oh, I got it. And then when you're smoking, like, yeah, smoking it. But now because there's not a lot of energy going into it, it doesn't really have that much of an effect. I'm not gonna say I don't smoke at all. Like when I'm working on my stories, sometimes I'll be there for an hour and I just can't get the focus. So I'll go vaporize and then I'll be like, okay, I'm calm and I could like, I guess where oh wow, now I'm filling out stuff with a little bit more creativity, just to give you an idea. But the energy you put in, it's the same energy that you would put into chasing women, for instance. That's why the simple term is like chase the money, not the woman, and you'll get both, or something like this. There's a reason for that. When you're like it's not so much why, but look at what it's costing you. You don't see that now because you're a vibrant teenager, young adult, full of energy. I see it because I'm at that age where my energy costs, like I could see the cost of that energy. So the energy you're putting into it now is going to be difficult for you to like get back if you keep on doing certain things or if you're not aware of what you're applying to it. Instead of like the why are you smoking kind of vibe, consider that the thoughts that go into it, the journey just to get that one joint in. Anyway, that I wanted to say that those are the three things that stuck out. Smoking cigarettes are putting it in. That's something that needs to be distinguished right away. Values, some homes are broken. my I don't want to pull her out, like pull her into this, like to be rude, but she will point out these things to my son. So my son at 2 years old was like, at one point, he had no reason to say this. He had never seen me smoke. He had never seen me with anything. And he'd be like, Daddy, do you need to smoke? Where is this coming from? Right? Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, yeah. But like you get the look because his mother would have known me before the breakup. So she would say things like, your daddy needed to do this just to, like, who knows? I don't know. So
Got it.
that was a turning point for me. Where it was like, I'm not gonna lie to my kid. Like, if he's gonna know or if he's gonna already have these ideas, whatever I'm feeling, whatever I'm going through, he's gonna be aware that this is what I'm experiencing right now in this moment as a result of these things. You can do better because I made a lot of foul decisions. Why do you think you're coming to visit me? Do you feel like that's normal? You know, and I could have those conversations and take it away from the smoking and making about where we're at, you
Mm-hmm.
know? So stuff like that, and then the life experience. Energy is a big thing, you know? The what is it? The Pookie Ray Rays and stuff like this. And I'm saying this because I was that dude, but the energy that goes into like chasing a woman or just needing to be on the grind, like I need to get it good. Like, who are you showing off to? Why do you need to let why does it you have to have this and this and this? So things are becoming very transactional, if you understand what I'm saying. So it
Mm-hmm.
becomes a lot of time consumption for the like energy consumption for the wrong reason, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah.
So stuff like these like will help you, I will not help you, will help us
Yeah.
navigate how to talk to our children, because if we look at the thing, like we're just looking at the thing and we're missing all that heavenly glory, if you understand my drift. All right.
Yeah,
So,
yeah, we can't pinpoint it like that. And I think, and again, thinking about what our end goal is here, I think this has been like there's a lot of valuable insight. The reality of what we're doing is like we're building an ecosystem, right? The OFC community is something that's like growing. There'll always be different scenarios that come, and but they're based, they come from the feedback of the members, from the challenges that we go through as individuals, as parents, as things. So, I think as time progresses, like what I would like to do is I'll extract the transcript from here and I'll take the information that we shared that can be shared with the members of the community, and I'll put it into like almost like a maybe like a blog form, or just tips and tricks, things that we discussed that could be beneficial to the members of the community, and maybe that could even spark other questions, maybe other things that come up in dialogue. But I definitely like the idea of us being able to have the space, like like I guess it would come at least once a month, where as members we could get together and just discuss these things. Like it's not always just about the business, and again, like this is like I look forward to the day where it's like these type of conversations, like we don't have to pull teeth to get the members out. Like they know that we're having these kinds of conversations. They're coming and they're participating, because
mm,
this is what I feel is missing a little bit from community, is like just like conversation, that it's not just about buying and selling, conversations that it's about just embedding bettering our life experiences, those of our children.
Just being, in fact.
That's it. Like sorry, say it again.
Just being, in
Just be
fact.
exactly. That's the 100%, So that's really what it is. But I think this has been huge. And the other one that we kind of threw out in passing, that conversation about sex, I think that's another big one. Um and even the conversation actually about broken homes, like even that, like 'cause that's a epidemic that we're not talking about. Like the amount of relationships, like you have certain people in relationships having children, the relationships are going south, like it's creating a bunch of broken homes. Now you got single parents. Like we're having some challenges, and these are things that we need to be discussing. And then even the topic of values. Is it like, what are the household values? Because I feel like um it's like they're making divorce too easy, separation too easy. Where it's like it's an option. Like it's an option people are just opting for. Where it'd be really cool if, like prior to getting to there, that we could discuss as a community, we could discuss as, whether it be the men's group, women's group, but I just feel it would be great if there was a support system prior to pulling the trigger, or prior to like, saying you're going to sever the actual relationship. So these are things that I think would be great that we could discuss as a community as well.
Definitely.
All right. So now, though, with our last 10 minutes, I don't know if you guys had any final things that you want to say on this actual topic, but I think this I feel this has been awesome. Was there anything else that you guys want to say on the actual topic itself?
I mean, I want to tie in with the motivational thing. We watch these things and these guys go hard. And a lot of the times we're like, you got to get up and you just got to do. But like what we fail, because we see it and we watch the people running and like slam dunking and stuff, and we miss a lot of stuff that's underneath the surface of what they're saying. What they're trying to get people to do is to develop habits. I is to develop positive habits. And I'm saying that because when you start the conversation about smoking, you're developing a habit, or you're replacing a habit. So we got to find a way to fine tune our habits, because once you've developed a habit, it becomes who you are. It's very difficult to break that habit without replacing that habit with something else.
Mm.
And when, yeah, so even the structure on how we go about doing that. Like for myself, I'm still appreciative that I'm aware of that. So like music with classical music now, creating with my words like a book where I'm supposed to be writing a stretch guide, like that becomes work and this is my creation, even though they're the two same things. But like when I don't want to do the work, why? Oh, my eyes hurt or whatever, but then I love to create. So like I'm learning how to do that. Kind of one of the reasons why I pointed out, like, find those things that are interesting to the children. What is it their desires are? What are they looking for? And how do these things tie into those things that they're caring about? Because once you make the centerpiece, like playing the piano, going to the gym, all that stuff, then this just becomes a like, what are you trying to look good for the prom? You want to wear a dress? No, I don't want to wear a dress. How you like, because you know, like most smoking marijuana kills that. And like now we're not really addressing it as a thing that's like this amplified whatever. We're focused on building good habits. Right.
Mhm.
So that's kind of where I really wanted to touch on that because that was 4 minutes or 5 minutes of a
Mhm.
lot that just really stood out to me, and I had so much to say just on that, but it ties into everything that we do. We have to be true to ourselves. Um,
Well said. And I think what my takeaway from what you just said there is to focus on the positive, focus on like and not, again, and not to say we're framing smoking marijuana as a negative,
yeah,
but it's like the takeaway is that if you know that your youth is ambitious and has different desires, different dreams, it's better to build on those and
yes.
make sure that they understand, like, by picking up this additional habit. Let's just say, it starts off recreational. Every once in a while you want to smoke a joint or whatever be the case. It has a tendency of taking up more space within your life experience. So you have to understand that if you want to prioritize, your instrument, your sports, your academics, your whatever, keep those things as your priority. And just understand that if you are not careful, what you're doing as for recreation might slip in and become one of those priorities. And then which one of those things are you willing to sacrifice for it?
Boom. That's,
Mm,
yeah, 100%. I wouldn't say positive, like focus on the positive, focus on those core values, focus on
Yeah,
those things that make your youth. And it goes on for yourself as well.
yeah.
Or for ourselves as well. Like focus on the things that matter to us. So when we're speaking from a place of honesty and sincerity, or authenticity, if you will.
yeah.
Right?
There's something with myself a couple of weeks ago, months. Time just keeps going so quick. I lose track. But I started my whole self-image changed. And with that's actually when I said I had stopped smoking in the car and stuff like that. It was like I started seeing myself differently. And with the seeing myself differently, I realized that a lot of my habits like that I had developed changed. A lot of my desires had changed, but it started with my self-image, seeing myself in a certain kind of way. And once I saw myself as a particular kind of person, I realized that certain desires that I had I just didn't have them anymore. I'm like, That's, and so I think that's something else that, the youth could benefit from understanding. Like, who do you see yourself? Like, who are you? Like, and a lot of the times, like, these youth are trying to find identity. They're trying to figure out who they are. So that's how they get caught up in these different cliques doing different things, because they're just trying to figure out who they are. And because they don't know, they're like, okay, well, maybe I'm part of this group. Then maybe this is what makes me, me. So I think it's, giving them that self-talk and reinforcement. I think it helps as well. Dope. Guys, this has been great. Always grateful for these opportunities. We have 3 more minutes left. Is there anything on the platform side, tech side, in terms of your platforms that you guys need a hand with? Are you guys okay with your profiles? Is there anything with Discord? Are you guys able to communicate properly in Discord?
When I'm communicating well. I'm Sadiq. Just before I say anything, can I just have your number straight up, please?
Yep, I'm just putting that in the chat.
Okay.
Perfect. Good.
But like, yeah, because no, Discord is pretty straightforward, like considering how it is. I will say that it's no, you know what? It's a lot better than WhatsApp because you have everything in different boxes where they need to be. So
Yeah.
I know where I need to go. The general chat one, like the fact that we can't respond. I think there was something about where's this tattoo on my rib cage or something like this. Or
Okay,
where's this
but that's the thing. So you can't, because you're supposed to be able to respond. So that's
Oh,
what, because I'm realizing I'm like what's happening? So that I'm
yeah.
gonna double check. So you're not able to respond?
No, not on that one.
So
Like,
that's okay. You're
is
supposed to
it
be
that
able
was
to.
that your tattoo?
Yeah,
So you got it like right down here.
yeah,
Yeah. I was
yeah,
like,
yeah,
that's
yeah.
easy.
Yeah, it's my rib cage.
But I couldn't say anything. I was like, well, that's not fair.
No, and that's
Well,
I see, but that's what I have to fix. Like, so thank you for bringing that up. I'll double check, but
yeah.
because it's supposed to just be like WhatsApp, so you should be able to dialogue. There's certain channels that are just for us to post information. But then everything else, it should be, you guys should be able to communicate. Like as affiliates, business owners and individuals, you guys all should be able to communicate in all the channels that are meant to communicate. So yeah, so thanks for bringing that up. I'm gonna double check what channel that was and make sure that you guys are able to communicate, because that's what's gonna create dialogue. Like the fact you guys could talk and post and share. That's what we want. We want people to start getting accustomed to chatting back like how they used to do in WhatsApp.
That's what's up.
Okay, guys, I appreciate you guys. So next week, we're on same time, but it's lighter. Next week is just, like I'll put it out, let members know we're here. I don't know how many people we're gonna expect. But the whole purpose is just to be able to ensure everybody's platforms are properly set up. I would like to use the opportunity, if like as we get on, to really make sure everyone's following each other. So we'll take time even during that session just to say, hey, everybody, we're taking the time right now to follow each other on YouTube, on Instagram, on, Facebook, whatever it is. So, it'll be a networking time, but it's also be a tech time as well. So that will be the plan for next week.
Awesome.
I'm just going to say thank you very, very much for hosting those type of space, because as I said, that conversation was very, very educational for me. It just showed me like other perspective, especially for Black men that went through the journey before me. So it's very necessary. I would love to see those multi-generational conversation happen more often. So
Yay.
thank you very much for showing me this.
Hey, thank you, my brother. Thank you. Thank you for participating. It really means a lot to me. Just you guys coming out. So thank you guys, because yeah, I do it for you guys, and I'm glad that you guys are here. So thank you. All right. Wishing you guys an amazing night. Blessings. Sending you guys love, light, and strength. Life, and I said, life just continue to bless you guys in your spaces, so you'll be able to continue to grow and to thrive and support yourselves, your community, and your family. Hotep, amen, and ashe. Thank you, guys. Talk to you soon.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.